everyone. Welcome to Source Snack Break. I'm Ren with Source, and today is Monday, June 1st. Before we get started, I'll tell you a couple little things about this webinar tool. So you're all muted automatically, but you do have access to the live chat there on the right. So you can pop in your favorite emoji to say hi and try it out. You can also use the live chat to ask any questions or comment. We'll make sure we answer any questions you have. We love doing that. So definitely, if you have any questions, pop them in. We'll also send you a recording of this webinar after the presentation. So if you want to reference it later or send it to a friend, you can. So today's guest is Jennifer with HI-MACS. Hey, I'm so excited to see you. Funny story, you all. Jenn was one of my reps way back in the day when I was a designer in Alaska. And so we've known each other for a long time. So I'm really excited to see your face. Can you tell us a little bit about you, your cute little puppies there, and a little bit about the company you work for?
Yes. So I'm Jennifer Hayden. Hello, everyone. Let's see, short intro on me. I've been a rep in the industry for, I don't know, about 13, 14 years now, since 2006. Yeah. So someone do the math. And my bachelor's degree is from Northern California, which is where I was born and raised. Came here with my husband in 2006 after graduation. Had my bachelor's degree in interior design, and I was going to be a designer. Ended up working for a local tile and stone company instead, and just kind of, I don't know, fell in love with this whole side of the industry. So I just kind of stayed here.
I love it.
It's been amazing.
Can you tell us about your little doggies?
Yes. So let's see. Jordy is the top one, I guess, in this layout. He's a flat coat retriever. He's 14 plus years old. He was a rescue that we actually adopted from my sister-in-law. He used to be a service dog, so he's very nice. And then his little brother right below him is Lenny. Lenny is amazing. He was the product of a hoarding situation in California. 300 animals lived in that house. And
oh my God.
They were the people that had them all went to jail. But he was a rescue. So we got him in February, right before lockdown started. And so
now he's your bestie.
Yes, he is. He's sitting here. You might hear him snore. He's really loud snorer. But yeah, so those are my babies.
Sweet. Can you tell us a little bit about HI-MACS a little bit before we get started?
Well, I'll start with LG as a company. So
awesome.
LG Houses, most asked question is, how do you pronounce it? Houses, like German spelling of house plus systems, houses. Okay.
Love that.
There's no housey, there's no Y in there. There is a Y, but there's no Y. So anyway, LG Houses is a part of LG, as in you would know it from LG, from South Korea. We have our factory and facilities for both our Via Terra Quartz line and our HI-MACS facility, all in Adairsville, Georgia. So our products are made in the U.S. With U.S. and imported parts, but everything is basically coming out of Georgia. And with that said, for both products, we're only going to talk about HI-MACS today, but both products are shipped from Georgia to a local warehouse, LG operated warehouse. Anywhere in the U.S., there's 12 different facilities. If you count Canada, there's 14. But basically, it means there's no cost for any of that shipping. So we'll get it to the closest warehouse for your projects, and you don't have to factor in any transit into your costs when it comes to things. So that's been pretty nice. But there's one facility that manufactures HI-MACS, and that's been able to keep up with pretty much everything we do. And 3, we just opened a 3rd for Via Terra Quartz. So
wow, I love that. Someone has just commented that that's not too far from their hometown. Awesome, we love that. Okay, so today we're going to talk about all the amazing stuff you can do with solid surface. Can you talk a little bit about what solid surface is? Like, what is it made of?
Yeah. Solid surface, obviously. No.
Yeah.
So basically, so the first thing you got to classify is when people think of solid surface, you're lumping stone, you're lumping quartz, you're lumping acrylics. All of that is kind of considered solid surfacing, where that's not necessarily the case. So a solid surface is technically an acrylic material. So HI-MACS is one of the few on the market that are actually 100% acrylic. And what that means is, it's not necessarily a good or a bad thing, but what that means is the acrylics that go into this allow you to do some of these cool things that we're going to look at. So in terms of thermoforming, backlighting, cutting, bending, all of that stuff is something that you can actually achieve very easily with an acrylic surface.
Okay.
In terms of, well, the picture we're looking at right now is an example of where it's both thermoformed and backlit. And so in order to do that, you basically have to heat up the material in an oven, basically, you know, put your sample in your stove at home. Just, but basically heat it up to about 330 degrees Fahrenheit, 20 to 30 minutes in the oven. And then you take it out with gloves on, and it's basically like a spaghetti noodle.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Or whatever. And you can kind of move it and like basically you press it over a wooden mold. And then that's what vacuum seals it basically into whatever shape you're using. So then in this picture you're looking at here, that's how they got that radius on the edge of the desk, or the whatever that is. Counter. But then the top of it, you can kind of tell it's been like super high polished, whereas the front's kind of like sort of matte satin finish. And then it's completely flush, but then they routed out the words and the design in the back of the material to about maybe 6 millimeters from the front. And then that's what's allowing the light through only those portions, because this particular color in this example is a solid color. So it's not going to allow light through otherwise.
Got it.
There's a whole other thing on translucent.
Yeah. So to recap, this is not a quartz product. This is solid surface. So it's a plastic
solid surface.
Got it. Okay. And one thing that you told me a couple months ago that blew my mind was that when it comes to pricing, like relative pricing, the whites in solid surface are cheaper because it comes out of the tube white.
Yeah, it starts out white, and then you add the color pigments.
You got to add the color in. So the more color you add, the more it gets. Whereas quartz,
everything else is the opposite.
It's the opposite with quartz, where it kind of comes gray because it's a stone. So the grays are cheaper. But if you want it bright, bright white, like everybody wants, then those are the more expensive. It blew my mind, that stat. So I just wanted to say that because
that's actually most of these pictures, unless they're being like backlit to a color, a lot of them are showing you whites because again, that's what people want, and then B, they're the affordable ones. So
in terms of like custom color, I know that's something that you guys do. Is that correct? That you can custom color basically anything?
Yes. So didn't realize I can move these. Okay, cool. Sorry guys. So yes, we can actually custom color. It's relatively easy from the designer's end. You have 2 different options that you can do that with. There's solid colors. So you tell me Benjamin Moore 182 or whatever. And then we send the paint sample to Adairsville. They color match it from there. It takes about 4 weeks. You can say Pantone,
whatever they're called.
And again, I don't even have to send them a paint sample. They just look it up. And then basically that is what 4 weeks later you get a sample. If it goes into the project, great. There's a 5-sheet minimum. Sheet size on all of our HI-MACS materials is 145 inches by 30 inches, which translates to 30 square feet.
Okay.
So in theory, it's, countertop disc plus your edge buildup and ta-da, countertop. So it's not a huge minimum to do it. Obviously, pricing gets a little bit better the more you order, because we literally shut down the facility and make your color for you. So
I love that.
We'll do that more effectively if you order more.
Yeah.
We'll do it. If you say have a discontinued color from phase whatever on a project, and you're like, ooh, so-and-so doesn't make this quartz anymore, or this whatever it was. If you can get a sample of that, we can send it to Adairsville, and they'll look at it and say like, oh yeah, we got color chips and pigments that'll do this. And we can basically copy it pretty accurately in HI-MACS. So that, again, it takes 4 weeks. That does have a higher minimum because there's more materials that we're sourcing for it, but it's still a conversation that, if you need it done, it's something we can do.
Yeah. Well, we get designers all the time who are like, this is an existing product. How can we match it? Like that's something a lot of schools ask for, I find. So that's really great to know. Yep. So can we go back one about the bending? Can you chat a little bit about like how designers can do this? Like, does it require a 3D model? Like, what does the process look like in terms of collaborating with you guys?
Pretty easy. So actually this top picture, which looks like a giant spoon, sort of. That's actually, it's called the SLO, SLO table, and it's in the Gensler, Los Angeles office, and it's all made out of HI-MACS. It took a lot of collaboration for this particular piece because the base that it's on was very unique. Their concept was a tablecloth over, like draping over a thing. So I think it looks like a spoon. But basically, you guys create the CAD drawing, put it in your plan, done. You're done. And like you can tell from some of these, like the theater down in the bottom, it's basically a sheet that just has a bend in it versus the right above it in the library that has a very interesting looking marshmallow chair. So basically what they do is they take your drawing, they can deconstruct it. And from little sections of your drawing, that's how they create the wooden molds. And because acrylics can be formed with the same woodworking tools that wood can, you can actually get very accurate molds made for these various pieces of your three-dimensional whatever you're creating. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then that's what they do is they put it into the oven, like I said, at 330 degrees, about 20 minutes, take it out. You have this half-inch, it's half-inch thick, so half-inch piece of however big it is. You press it over the wood form, and then it goes to a vacuum seal machine that basically sucks all the air out, kind of like when you shrink wrap your Easter egg. And so then that, I don't know, takes maybe another 20 minutes. In an hour, you basically have all these different pieces. So for the Gensler table, they basically constructed all these different pieces in little sections. And then because acrylics seam together with a visually seamless look, like that was probably, I don't know, 4-ish, 5-ish pieces together. But you won't see a seam because of the adhesive that you use. It's color matched adhesive. They squirt it in there, clamp it together, sand it down. And then unless you are, if you backlight it, you might be able to see a seam if it's a translucent color, which I'll show you that in the next slide. Or if it's a not well done seam, but it's kind of hard to mess it up, if that makes sense. Good and bad seams in quartz and stone because it has to do with the material and a little bit of fabrication. But for the most part with this stuff, because you sand it down, that seam becomes very inconspicuous. And so on solid colors, it's incredibly easy to do. And what's great about it is because acrylic is naturally non-porous and you don't have seams now, you don't have anywhere where bacteria is going to get in there. And hot word right now is hygienic. So this particular type of material is incredibly popular in everything healthcare. And now that we're kind of seeing a shift of how do we use those, bleach cleanable and those type of materials in some of these other applications where we have more people, like hospitality, which is kind of a funny twist because if you think about it, we were trying to make healthcare more hospitality. Yeah, it's going the other way again. So yeah, you can still actually get very fun applications with thinking a little bit outside of the box as far as it doesn't just have to be a flat countertop. Like the desk in the very bottom corner, that's 100% HI-MACS, which means it's 100% hygienic. So no matter what little kid hand or sneeze or anything that gets on there, it's going to wipe up very easily. It's not going to grow anything else. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a cool.
So if designers are thinking of doing a custom thing like this, they should reach out to you pretty early and you guys can sort of go back and forth on how to best do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sweet. Okay. I love that.
I mean, everything from like shower pans, sinks, like the shower surrounds, those are very, very basic.
Wow.
Things that we do all the time. Like these applications are a little more unique, obviously, but they're also the attention grabbers. So, but if you think about, the shower pan that you need the drain in a weird spot or something like that, all of it's customizable very easily. So
nice. Yeah. So that is pretty great to know, is that water is not an issue. So you can kind of go wild.
Yeah. You can do wet walls with these. You can, you can, if you didn't want to have to use drywall ever again, you can actually put this up in place of drywall. So,
oh, wow. Like right on studs.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
This, so I like these pictures because it shows you, so opal is a translucent color. So in terms of backlighting, and you can see how you can see the breaks in that top and the kind of bottom bar. because on the back side of the material, so on the front, if the light was off, you would basically run your hand across it and it would be very flat and smooth. You would never know there's a break there. But because it's backlit, you get that break and you can see it because the light is obviously thicker in that one spot, so it doesn't go through as well. So in these particular applications, they kind of worked on that. It was on purpose, basically, just because you had the same pattern mimicked in the front of the bar. But
yeah, so you can work with you guys. Yeah, you can work on like where to put seams and the lighting to sort of make it seem more seamless, like the one in the right corner. In terms of lighting, what kind of lighting should designers use? Is it like strip LEDs? Is it like
any kind of LED is fine? Basically, because so kind of goes back into thermoforming. If it gets really, really warm, it'll bend. So
that makes sense.
You don't necessarily want a light that's going to put out a bunch of heat. A little bit is fine. Obviously, like my lamp is warm, but that's not going to be like enough to, overheat. But LEDs, totally fine.
Sweet. Okay. And so should a designer sort of work with you guys and then work with a lighting consultant to sort of figure that out and sort of make fabrication drawings? I imagine there's a little backing and forthing of like where to plug the light in and like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely get involved and help with that kind of stuff. I mean, also it's pretty straightforward too. So, I mean, you can always run it by me. I'm very happy to like look at what you're doing and be like, oh, you need a thing here, that kind of stuff, structural support or whatever. But I mean, you could make your light cover out of this kind of, so it's very easy.
I love it. So Anastasia has a question. How do you, I'm going to say strategically plan for any electrical in the floor? So do you need to work a little bit to make sure you know where those connections are? I imagine there's a little backing and forth there.
Well, it's the same. So if you were doing a desk situation or like where you had like a computer plug going in somewhere, along the desk, it's something that, I mean, if you're installing any desk out of anything, technically, you would need to consider all of these options. But if you basically knew where that was going, it's something that could very easily be done on site because, again, they're woodworking tools. They're not wet saw, you would see with quartz or even tile sometimes. And so basically, if you needed to move that outlet like on site, and then it's like, oh, this needs to go over here now. You basically just drill it out, put your outlet in, and then you can take where your other hole where that and plug it basically back in with the same material, sand it down, and now that hole is gone. So
great. So it's a little bit more flexible, more forgiving.
Which my favorite example is in terms of wet walls for plumbing. If it didn't quite get in the right spot where the toilet like tubes are coming out, you just re-drill it, plug it back in, and sand it down, and you're done.
Off you go. I love it. So can you talk a little, we're running out of a little time here, but can you talk a little bit about, I know it's fascinating to me. I love it. All the stuff you can do. So can you talk a little bit about how you can do custom cutting out of it? Because that's something that I always forget about.
Yeah. Well, and so that's not even something that you have to necessarily know ahead of time. Because that goes into the fabrication side of it. So you design it, see it, it's plugged into a CNC machine, or if it's not that complicated, you can actually hand route it out. But basically you just plug that into your machine and the CNC machine does it for you.
Sweet.
I've actually seen some really good like YouTube snips of just how to do it. And that's how most of these things were done. So
wow. And is that something that you do with a local fabricator? Like you find someone here locally in your town?
We have a ton of like Pacific Northwest specific. Portland area is big on it. So is Seattle. So
okay. But yeah, so that's not something you do it locally.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, great. Sweet. I love that. Yeah. Again, this material is like, it does so many things. Designers, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat because as you can tell, Jen's an amazing resource for understanding how to use this in your project. So if you have any questions about how to successfully put this in your project or a project you're thinking of, put it in the chat and I'll just let you know that you can order samples from Jenn right now on our website. So you can click that button and order samples right now. It sounds like you can send them to their homes. No worries.
I can.
Awesome. So you definitely can check that out. And designers also, if you'd like to register for another snack break, we've got a bunch up this week coming up that are going to be really fun. So smash that register now button. And oh my gosh, we have a question. I love it. Do you have a standard product with a counter that incorporates a bathroom sink?
Yeah, 130 of them. So basically every single color, and there's like over 130, is a standard counter depth. And then basically we have acrylic sinks that also are not necessarily custom. They're all pre-done, and you just pick the one you want. If they're ADA compliant, you can specify if you want to, the word is escaping me, overflow hole.
Yeah.
But basically any of them work together, and it's very, very simple. Basic counters are like
your bread and butter.
Yeah, basically.
I love that. Great question. Yeah. Looking for those integral sinks. It creates such a beautiful look. I love that. Yeah. So that is awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you, Jenn. It's so nice to see your face, and I hope you do well. Designers, hopefully we'll see you at another snack break coming up here soon. And in the meantime, I'll say goodbye for now. Thanks, Jenn.
Bye.
All right. We'll see ya.